Welcome to the lecture for the course Refrigeration and Air Conditioning. Today we'll go for the various refrigeration systems. Myself Sumit Bardia, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Sharad Institute of Technology, College of Engineering, Edra. Today we will cover the following points such as refrigeration system, we'll introduce it, air refrigeration system, reverse Carnot cycle, simple vapor compression system, merits and demerits of vapor compression over air refrigeration system, functions of parts of a vapor compression system, simple vapor absorption system, practical vapor absorption system, and the last, that is comparison between the vapor compression system and vapor absorption system. The various refrigeration system that is listed here, which is ice refrigeration, that we are already previously we have discussed about it, air refrigeration system, vapor compression refrigeration system, vapor absorption refrigeration system, and some special reference systems are also available, that is adsorption refrigeration system, cascade refrigeration system, and mixed refrigeration system. We'll go through the air refrigeration system first. The air cycle refrigeration is one of the earliest method of cooling developed. It became obsolete for several years because of its low COP. COP means coefficient of performance, and high operating costs. It has been applied to aircraft refrigeration systems where with low equipment weight is required, and it can utilize a portion of cabin air according to the supercharger capacity. The main characteristics feature of air reference system is that throughout the cycle the refrigerant remains in gaseous state. The air refrigeration systems can be divided into two systems, that is first one closed system, and second one is open system. What is closed system? In closed system, the air refrigerant is contained within the piping at all times, and the refrigerator with usually pressures above atmospheric pressure. So that is a closed system. Open system, the refrigerator is replaced by actual space that is to be cooled with the air expanded to the atmospheric pressure and circulated through the cold room, and then again it is compressed to a cooler pressure. The pressure of operation in this system is limited to operation at atmospheric pressure in the refrigerator. The closed system claims certain advantages over open system, such as in a closed system the suction to compressor may be high, which is at higher pressure. The sizes of expander and compressor can be kept within a limit by using a dense air. In open system, the air picks up moisture from the products kept in the refrigerated chamber. The moisture may freeze during expansion and is likely to choke the walls, whereas it cannot happen in the closed system. Again, in open system, the expansion of a refrigerant can be carried only up to the atmospheric pressure prevailing in the cold chamber, but for the closed system there is no such restrictions there. Okay, so that is about the closed system and open system in the air refrigeration system. Next we'll go through the reverse Carnot cycle, that is the basic fundamental of the refrigeration air conditioning system. If a machine working on a reverse Carnot cycle is driven from another external source, it will work or function as a refrigerator. The production of such a machine has been possibly practically because the adiabatic portion of the stroke would need high speed, while during isothermal portion of stroke a very low speed will be necessary. This variation of speed during the stroke, however, is not practicable. The PV and TS diagram, here the PV and TS diagram is shown here of reverse Carnot cycle. Starting from point here, the clearance space of the cylinder is full of air. Here it is, L here, yes. The air is then expanded adiabatically to point P, during which its temperature falls from T1 to T2. Here we can show in the TS diagram T1 to T2. The cylinder is put in contact with a cold body at temperature T2. The air is then expanded isothermally to a point here, to a point N, as a result of which heat is extracted from the cold body at temperature T2. Now the cold body is removed from N to M. Air undergoes adiabatic compression with the assistance of some external power, and temperature rises to again T1. A hot body at temperature T1 is put in contact with the cylinder. Finally, the air is compressed isothermally, during which process is heat rejected to the hot body. So what is the actually we need to calculate that coefficient of performance, so which is nothing but heat extracted from the cold body. So heat extracted cold body divided by work done per cycle, that too we need to calculate. So what is the heat abstracted from the cold body here? It is nothing but area N, here NPQS, NPQ, this is Q, QS. So area NPQS is nothing but T2 temperature multiplied by Pn. So Pn this is, and multiply by T2. Okay, what is work done per cycle? Area L here, LPNM. So total this cycle is work done per cycle, which is nothing but difference of temperature T1 minus T2 multiplied by Pn. Okay, so that is the work done per cycle. So ultimately COP will be the area NPQS divided by area LPNM. So T2 multiplied by Pn divided by T2 minus T1 multiplied by Pn. So Pn get cancelled, will get the T2 divided by T1 minus T2. So what is T2 here? That is the lowest temperature, divided by T1 minus T2, the difference of temperature. So that will give you the COP of a reverse Carnot cycle. If you go for a reverse Carnot cycle, the refrigerating machine, per cycle we need to calculate, that is COP is the heat extracted from the cold body per cycle divided by work done per cycle. Same, we have calculated T2 divided by T1 minus T2. Now if we go for a heat pump Carnot cycle, it will be reversed. So heat rejected, instead of heat extracted here, we need to reject the heat to the hot body per cycle divided by work done, that will be the same. So heat rejected at a temperature of T1, here heat is rejected at temperature T1. So here the T1 divided by T1 minus T2. So heat rejected, here it will come Lm, this Lm will come Lm into T1 divided by T1 minus T2 divided by Pn, that is work done will be the same. So T1 multiplied by Pn divided by T1 minus T2 multiplied by Pn. Why? Because Lm is nothing but a Pn. So ultimately we'll get the T1 divided by T1 minus T2. So higher temperature divided by T1 minus T2. We can rewrite as 1 plus T2 divided by T1 minus T2. But we know that COP of refrigerator is T2 by T1 minus T2. So we can write as COP of HP, that is heat pump, is equal to 1 plus COP of refrigerator. Okay, so heat pump is always COP of heat pump is always greater than 1 as compared to the COP of refrigerator. So here it is written, this indicates that the COP of heat pump is greater than that of refrigerator working on reverse Carnot cycle within the same limits T1 and T2. Next will be the we will heading towards the main chapter, that is simple vapor compression system. We need to understand the basic working of simple vapor compression system. Out of all refrigeration systems, the vapor compression system is most important system from the point of commercial as well as domestic utility. It is the most practical form of refrigeration. In this system, the working fluid is a vapor. We all know that. It is readily evaporates and condenses or changes alternately between the vapor and liquid phases without leaving the refrigerating plant. During evaporation, it absorbs heat from the cold body. This heat is used at its latent heat for converting it from the liquid to vapor. In condensing or cooling or liquefying, it rejects heat to external body, thus creating a cooling effect in the working fluid. This refrigeration system thus acts as a latent heat pump, since it pumps latent heat from the cold body or brine and rejects it to a delivers it to the external hot body or cooling medium. The principle upon which the vapor compression system works, that is, which is applied to all the vapor for which the tables of thermodynamic properties are available. In a simple vapor compression system, fundamental processes are completed in one cycle. So one cycle, in that 4 processes are there, which are compression, condensation, expansion and vaporization or evaporation. If we see the flow diagram here, it is shown in the figure. Where is the cursor? Here. So vapor at low temperature and pressure enters the compressor here. Low pressure, low temperature vapor enters the compressor, where it is compressed isentropically and its temperature and pressure increases considerably at state point 3. Okay, here. So from here, this is a suction line. Vapor compresses and increases the temperature and pressure and enters into the condenser. This vapor, after leaving the compressor, enters the condenser, where it is condensed into high pressure liquid, that is state 4, and it is collected in the receiver tank. So this is a receiver tank. From receiver tanks, it passes through the expansion valve. So this is expansion valve. Here it is throttled down to a lower pressure and has a lower temperature, which is again a state point 1. After finding its way through expansion valve, it finally passes on the evaporator, where it extracts heat from the surrounding or circulating fluid being refrigerated and vaporizes to low pressure vapor. Okay, so that is the flow diagram and flow process of compressor, condenser, expansion valve and evaporator, which gives you the cycle of vapor compression system. Now there are certain merits and demerits of vapor compression system over air refrigeration system. So we'll see first merits. First is COP is quite high, as the working of cycle is very near to the reverse Carnot cycle. So COP is high. Second, running cost is low, that is, when used on the ground level, the running cost of vapor compression system is only 1/5 of the air refrigeration system as compared to the vapor compression. For the same refrigerating effect, the size of evaporator is very small. Smaller evaporator size is there. The required temperature is achieved of the evaporator can adjusting the throttle valve of the same unit. So these are the merits under vapor compression system over air refrigeration system. Demerits, of course, the initial cost is very high. The major disadvantages are inflammability, leakage of vapors, and toxicity. These have been overcome to a great extent by improvement in the design itself. The next slide about functions of parts of vapor compression system. So which are the parts required for vapor compression system is listed here. That is compressor. The four major we know that is compressor, condenser, expansion valve and evaporator. But some other accessories are also required in order to work efficiently. That is discharge line, receiver tank is there, suction line is there, liquid line is there. Okay, so we'll see one by one. That is compressor. What is the function of compressor? The function of compressor is to remove the vapor from the evaporator and to raise its temperature and pressure to a point such that it can be condensed with available condensing media. Okay, so compressor here, we have seen the figure here, the compressor which is used to increase the temperature and pressure of the vapor. Second is discharge line. Here the discharge line. A hot gas or discharge line delivers the high pressure, high temperature vapor from the discharge of the compressor to the condenser. So it is a connection between the compressor and condenser which delivers the high pressure vapor. Third is condenser. The function of condenser is to provide a heat transfer surface through which heat passes from the hot refrigerant vapor to the condensing medium. Okay, so that is condenser. Receiver tank is nothing but is used to provide a storage for the condensed liquid so that a constant supply of liquid is available to the evaporator as and when required. Liquid line carries the liquid refrigerant from the receiver tank to the refrigerant flow control. Next is expansion valve, which is nothing but a refrigerant flow control. Its function is to meter the proper amount of refrigerant to the evaporator and to reduce the pressure of the liquid entering the evaporator so that liquid will vaporize in the evaporator at a desired low temperature and take out sufficient amount of heat. So that is the function of the expansion valve. Evaporator, as the name implies, provides a heat transfer surface through which heat can pass from the refrigerated space into the vaporizing refrigerant. So it evaporates, it converts the liquid refrigerant from the expansion to the vapor. The last one is a suction line. A suction line conveys the low pressure vapor from the evaporator to the suction inlet of the compressor. So the compressor requires a vapor form of refrigerant to compress. Okay, so evaporator has to convert all the liquid particles into vaporized form. The next slide shows about the vapor absorption system. Here the schematic figure is there and also TS diagram is plotted here. So in a vapor absorption system, the refrigerant is absorbed on leaving the evaporator, the absorbing being a solid or liquid. In order that the sequence of events should be continuous, it is necessary for the refrigerant to separated from the absorbent and subsequently condensed before being returned to the evaporator. The separation is accomplished by the application of direct heat in a generator. So here the generator is there. The solubility of the refrigerant and the absorbent must be suitable, and the plant which uses ammonia as an refrigerant and water as an absorbent will be described in this figure itself. So if we see this figure, it is nothing but a simple absorption system. The solubility of ammonia in water at low temperature and pressure is higher than that, it's the higher temperature and pressures. The ammonia vapor leaving the evaporator here, at point 2 is readily absorbed in the low temperature hot solution in the absorber. This process is accompanied by the rejection of heat. The ammonia in water solution is pumped to a higher pressure. Here pump is there, to a higher pressure and is heated in the generator. Due to reduced solubility of ammonia in water at a high pressure and temperature, the vapor is removed from the solution. The vapor then passes to the condenser here, and the weakened ammonia in water solution is returned to the absorber. In this system, the work done on the compression is less than in the vapor compression cycle, but the heat input to the generator is required. The heat may be supplied by any convenient form, steam or gas heating. Here we can use steam, or as well as gas heating we can use to increase or heat that we need to remove from the ammonia solution. Okay, similarly the TS diagram is shown. 1 to 2 is nothing but evaporator process. 3 here, the temperature and pressure increases. Here 3 to 4 is around the condensation. Here 3 to 4 it is a pumping process, and then generator up to condenser. So generator here, condensation pressure up to 4, and 4 to 1 is again expansion process. Theoretically and practically the working will be changed here. So practical vapor absorption system, here we can discuss here about it. Although a simple vapor absorption system can provide refrigeration, yet its operating efficiency is low. The following accessories such as heat exchanger, analyzer, rectifier, here we are used here to make the system more practical and improve the performance and working of the plant. So what is the role of heat exchanger here? Here we have added the 3 accessories here. Where is the cursor? Here. Heat exchanger. A heat exchanger is located between the generator and absorber. The strong solution is pumped from the absorber. Here it is, pump is there. Absorber to the generator must be heated, and the weak solution from the generator to the absorber must be cooled. This is accomplished by the heat exchanger, and consequently cost of heating the generator and cost of the cooling the absorber are reduced. So heat exchanger plays the both roles, that is the strong solution pumped to the generator, and again it is heated, and cooled is again back to the absorber through the heat exchanger. Second, analyzer. So what is the role of analyzer here? An analyzer consists of a series of trays mounted above the generator. So here it is. Analyzer. Its main function is to remove partly some of the unwanted water particles associated with the ammonia vapor going to the condenser. If these water vapors are permitted to enter condenser, they may enter the expansion valve and freeze. As a result, the pipeline may be choked. Okay, so that is the role of analyzer. The next is the rectifier. Here the rectifier is attached in between the generator and condenser. It is a water cooled heat exchanger which condenses water vapor and some ammonia and sends back to the generator here. Here the flow diagram is also there, which is flows back to the generator. Thus final reduction or elimination of the percentage of water vapor takes place in a rectifier. Okay, so that is the role of rectifier here. So these additional accessories we are used to improve its efficiency and to become a more practical absorption system. Then the next point is about the comparison between the vapor compression and vapor absorption system. That comparison points are very much important. Here the particulars are listed. Here vapor compression system and vapor absorption system. In particular, type of energy supplied. Here in vapor compression system we are using a compressor, so high grade energy we are supplying. But here in absorption system we are supplying the low grade energy, that is heat. Energy supply here, the low energy supply, here high energy supply is there. Wear and tear, as here compressor is available, so more wear and tear is there. So in absorption system less wear and tear. Performance at part loads. Part loads compression system gives a poor efficiency, but for part load the variations of load system not affected in the vapor absorption system. Suitability used where high grade energy is available or mechanical energy is available. Where electricity is available, we can use vapor compression system. But if electricity is not available, for example in remote places, we can use the vapor absorption system with a simple kerosene lamp also. Charging of refrigerant is very simple in vapor compression system, difficult in vapor absorption system. Leakage of refrigeration, more chances in the vapor compression system. No chance in the vapor absorption system as there is no compressor or no any dynamic part is there to cause leakage. Last one, that is damage. Liquid traces in suction line may damage the compressor. Here the liquid traces in piping at the exit of evaporator constitute no danger. So less danger in the vapor absorption system as compared to vapor compression system. So that is the comparison points between these two refrigeration systems, which are very much important for the practical point of view. So okay, we will stop here and we'll continue with the same chapter in the next lecture. Thank you.